Okay, very good morning, everyone. Today, welcome back for your second session on international business environment. We have started with the second chapter of this particular subject, which is a generic core subject of Savitribai Phule, Pune University. We have yesterday dealt with the first session, and now today we are continuing with the second session. To give just a brief overview about what we have seen yesterday in the last lecture, we have seen with what is a business, what is an environment, and what is an international business environment. Then we have seen the different types of business environment that are into existence and which impacts your business directly or indirectly. Now, coming with the types of business environment, we have seen major classification under two types. That is, a business environment can be called as a controllable environment or an uncontrollable environment. So here we see there are major two categories. Then furthermore, we have seen about another major classification of environment in terms of micro environment and macro environment. So in terms of micro and macro environment, there were different types of these particular environments also. That is, these includes the suppliers, the market intermediaries and service organizations, the competitors, the customers, and the general public. In terms of macro environment, this includes the geographical, economic, financial, socio-cultural, political, legal, technological, and ecological. So these types of major classifications on the basis of micro and macro perspectives, we have seen as the classification of international business environment. Then we have seen with the concept of country risk analysis. While dealing with the country risk analysis, we have seen about what are the various factors which affects or which are considered as a risk factor for your continuous business environment in terms of international business. These factors are, for example, or in terms of political, economic, location, sovereign, transfer risk, economical risk, exchange risk, financial risk, subjective risk, terrorism risk, and corruption risk. So at every point of time, in detail, we have seen about different types of risks that have been associated. Now, these particular types of risk is also particular perspectives wherein it is called as an pestle analysis. The pestle, that is political, economic, social, technological, analytical, and legal, the major types of risk that we have seen or dealt in detail. Now, coming with the next perspective is in terms of ratings, another short note question that can be asked for you. Now, what is a rating? Rating is a particular concern or a particular perspective wherein you are going to grade or you are going to rate a certain organization, a certain company, or a certain country as a whole. So whenever we are dealing with the international business, what we need to understand, at which country our business should be conducted, where should our goods be imported and exported, and at which location you want to export and import your goods and services. Now, this particular decision, it differs from country to country. Now, there is a different rating perspective. There are different rating agencies at different places or different level. The rating of a particular company or a particular organization or a particular country, it may be different at the national level, and the rating is different at the international level. So if you are saying that you want to rate, for example, if there's a particular company called an XYZ, now if XYZ industry or a company wants to rate itself, it can be rated in terms of the state of Maharashtra, in state of Delhi, in state of Madhya Pradesh, in state of West Bengal, and so on. So at the respective state level. In terms of national level, a particular company can be rated accordingly as the national level perspective. It can be rated as number 1 company, number 2, number 5, number 10, number 50, number 100, and so on. Rating at the international level. So a company can be rated at the international level also. So your rating for the international rank, it may be around 150, 250, 1000, 10,000, or whatever it may be. So hence we have seen with the ratings of the company's perspective. In the same fashion, in the same place, we have the rating perspectives of the respective countries or respective nations in terms of your products and services. So in terms of your products and services also, the countries have also been rated wherein the respective country, for example, India, Japan, France, Italy, Spain, US, Australia, Singapore, and so on. So individual countries can also be rated accordingly. Now, the another perspective that you need to understand before understanding what rating is, why do we rate? We rate usually in order to understand what are the various factors or what are the components wherein the conducive environment, the feasible, suitable, and comfortable environment to conduct the business activities is being provided by the respective government or respective state or respective country is not. Whether it is all those particular facilities, whether all the factors of production are available or not. When we understand all these particular concerns, then we rate a particular country. Now, in order to rate the different countries or different companies, we have the different authorities at different level. The authorities of ratings are different at national level and at international level respectively. Now, who have been rated? So as this particular question answers, it is already said that the rating can be done for a company also or for a country also. Now, coming with the first perspective of rating. Now, you can see on this particular slide that is ease of doing business. Now, being the study of a particular case studies of India, now we are seeing at this particular perspective in terms of ease of doing business. So if you want to conduct a business, if you want to start your own business and you want to conduct the certain business activities, so ease of doing business, India ranks 130 out of 185 countries. So what are the so different one among the all these 185 countries which are of into existence, which have been rated, the ease of doing business, India ranks 130. So you can imagine what is the conducive environment, what is the support given by the government, what are the various factors of production availability, and how the business can be conducted easily and effectively. It is very far ahead that our country is lacking at these certain perspectives. And if you want to start a business, if you want to conduct the business international and at national level, so what are those particular perspectives? So ease of doing business is at the level of 130. Next thing, the corruption perception index. So out of 168 countries that was been taken for a certain survey, the rank of India is at 76th level. So at this point of time, most of the countries, most of the people, most of the nations feel that there is a corruption percentage index. The India ranks 76 among all the countries in world. So you can imagine what is the level of corruption that can be undertaken at this stage. Next thing, the Human Development Index, that is HDI. In terms of HDI, that is the human development, that is the per capita income, wherein the development, the lifestyle, the standard of living of people has been increasing. India ranks 130 out of 188 nations. So this particular survey belongs to the year of 2010, and in that particular decade, these particular ratings of India are available, and you can see the statistics and comparison. Now, the different types of country risk assessment. The country risk assessment is majorly combination or having a composition of two types. First thing, a macro assessment, and second thing, a micro assessment. So a micro assessment of country risk is an overall risk assessment of a country without consideration of the MNC business. So you are not considering the business of an MNC. So at this particular perspective, you can just conducting an overview on or overall consideration of all the business activities. So wherever in which particular perspective are concerned, where MNC business activities are not taken into consideration, only your domestic activities are taken into consideration, that particular type of risk assessment is called as a macro assessment. A micro assessment of a country risk is the risk assessment of a company or a country as related to the MNC's type of business. So in comparison or in conclusion with the MNC's type of business, if you are rating a particular country wherein all the factors of production, all your departments, all your components, all your factors are taken into consideration for assessing a particular country, that particular type of assessment is called as a micro assessment. So major classification we have seen, major types of country assessment we have seen, that is either a type of country assessment with respect to macro assessment or micro assessment. Now, the overall assessment of country risk. So the overall assessment of a country risk can be classified under 4 major categories. So these particular 4 major categories are macro political risk, macro financial risk, micro political risk, and micro financial risk. So in this way, we'll see the further steps or the further slides in detail about those particular perspectives. Note that the options of different risk assessors and different are subjectives in certain identification. So what we need to understand at this particular point of time, that identifying the relevant potential and financial factors. So at this particular point of time, whenever we are assessing or finding a certain risk assessment of a particular country, we need to take into consideration about identification of the relevant political and financial factors. So whether the political conditions of the country are stabilized or not, or whether the financial position of a particular country is stable or not. So all these factors needs to be taken into consideration, because major factor or major contributor to the risk factor is of political and financial risk. Then one has to determine the relative importance of each factor and predicting the values of factors that cannot be measured objectively. So what are the various relevance important factors that one need to understand? So what is your type of business? What is your composition of business? What factors of production you are looking for? What is the various composition of import and exports? What are the various tariffs? What are the various duties that have been levied? How the taxes needs to be paid, what is the financial position of the people, what is the human development index, what is the per capita income, what is the standard of living of people, what is the habitat, and so on. So all these relevant important factors needed to be taken into consideration, and accordingly we should go for assessing and identifying the risk factor. Next perspective is predicting the value of factors. So values of factors is the value of factors of production that are made available. So availability of land, availability of labor, availability of capital, and availability of resources, that is capital and enterprises. So if all these particular factors are conducive, if the environment is quite supportive, then you can conduct the business activities very effectively and sufficiently. So measurement of all these objectives of your businesses, measurement of objectives of your factors of production, identification of the rules, regulation, guidelines, and environment suitability and comfortability, everything needs to be ascertained, and then only the factors of production and your decision to invest in a particular country needs to be undertaken. Now, techniques of assessing a country risk. So what are the various techniques that are made available for you in wherein you can identify and assess the risk factor of a particular country? First thing, a checklist approach. A checklist approach involves a rating and weighting all the identical factors and then consolidate the rates and weights to produce an overall assessment. So a checklist approach, for example, wherein you have a certain questionnaire, and based on this particular questionnaire, what happens? You prepare a checklist. Based on this particular checklist, you either tick mark as a correct and wrong at this particular perspective. So what are the various factors that you require? What are the various factors that you want to consider while establishing a particular business? Based on these particular factors, all factors are taken down. It has been noted, and then you prepare a checklist, a particular draft or a particular paper out of it. Now, whenever this particular paper or a draft or questionnaire has been prepared, you either tick mark or you either cancel what is the factors of production or what is the conducive or suitable environment for you. If a particular factor is available with the country, then you tick mark it as positive. If a particular factor is not available with the country, you tick mark it as negative or cross mark. So in this way, you prepare a checklist, and based on this particular checklist, you identify the number of factors or number of components. So out of 100, how much factors do you find positive, and out of 100, how much factors do you find negative? So based on this particular concern, you can make an assessment, or you can assess the country risk of a particular country in terms of your checklist approach. Now, checklist approach give you certain concerns with respect to the positive count, that is a plus and minus. For example, you have 76 as pros and 24 as cons. So in this way, you can identify what are the various pros and cons of your country, what are the various pros and cons of your business organizations, what are the various factors of which are of positive and negative nature, and accordingly the country can be rated. Now, at this point of time, the assessment can be done for an individual country, or you can do for a comparison basis also. Now, this particular comparison, or for example, this particular checklist can be applied to several nations also. Now, several nations in one checklist or one questionnaire that you have prepared, you can use the same questionnaire, same checklist for different nations. The same checklist can be applied for India, it can be used for Pakistan, it can be used for Russia, it can be used for China, it can be used for Korea, and so on. So in this way, the checklist can be applied to the several nations, and accordingly you can find out the various identical factors. You can rate the respective factors, and based on the weightage that has been received or achieved, you can overall assess the country. Any difficulty at this stage, you can drop the message in the chat box and ask the questions accordingly. So we have come with the end of the first type of techniques or assessment of checklist approach. Now, going with the second perspective, that is the Delphi technique. Now, Delphi technique involves collecting various independent opinions and then averaging and measuring the dispersion of those opinions. Now, in terms of checklist approach, what you are doing, you have prepared a certain list of all factors. Now, but in terms of Delphi techniques, what do? You individually approach and you individually take an opinion of an individual factors of production. So what happens at this point of time, there is an involvement of all factors of production, but on individual basis, on independent basis. So you have to approach one-on-one, you have to take a feasible suggestion, you have to take a comment from each and every individual component, and then only the decision can be drawn out of this. So what happened? The overall in-depth in-depth analysis of a particular concern of a particular country is done, and based on this concern, you arrive a certain conclusion. And this particular conclusion, it can be on an average basis or it can be on a measurement basis. So the averaging and measuring the dispersion of those opinions. So whether those opinions are positive, whether those opinions are negative, whether those opinions are favorable or unfavorable, what are their opinions about it, whether they have proper feedback with respect to highly satisfactory or highly dissatisfactory or a neutral stage. In such ways you can find out, and the Delphi technique can also be made applicable. Next thing is the perspective of quantitative analysis. Quantitative analysis is that particular technique which likes it is same in similar fashion to the regression analysis and can be applied to historical data to assess the sensitivity of a business to the various risk factors. So quantitative techniques takes into consideration about all the regression, that is it is specifically in terms of quantitative, in terms of values or in terms of numericals. So, for example, if you are saying there are 100 business enterprises in the country, then out of those 100 business enterprises, which are in a stable state, which are flourishing, and which are in a declining stage. So, in this way, you assess a particular risk of a particular country in terms of a quantity, that is 1 quantity, 2 quantity, 10 quantity, and so on. So, a quantitative technique specifically deals with the regression. Regression in the sense, what are the various count that you have achieved, and out of those 100 or out of your sample size, out of your regression, which are most feasible, which are most comfortable, and which is not feasible or not comfortable. So it can be applied to the historical data. Now, historical data is that particular perspective in the sense, for example, you can apply this particular technique for different data that is of a historical nature. So you can go back to the past data, you can drag that particular data, and you can make a certain assessment or analysis based on the literature review that you can do. So a literature review or the historical data analysis is also possible, wherein you can get a quantitative data as on today also, and you can compare those particular data as on today with the past data that was into existence. So sensitivity analysis with respect to business, whether the business is flourishing, whether the business is at a declining stage, and so on. So each and every analysis of an individual level of the risk factor can be done effectively and fluently. Next perspective, the fourth type comes from the inspection visits. So inspection visits involve traveling to a country and meeting with the government officials, firm executives, and or consumers to clarify certain uncertainties. So now in this particular concern, inspection visit is a direct one-on-one data collection from the respective countries or the particular officials. So at this point of time, what happens? You go with respect to the concern and you primary collect the data that is needed for your research perspective. So at this point of time, a team, a task force, a group of people, a group of experts come at your respective location and they collect the data from the respective country. Now, how this particular data can be collected? It can be collected by meeting the different peoples, by meeting the different government officials, by meeting the different companies, the executives of the firm, and ultimately to the end consumers of who are using those products and services. And based on your meetings, based on your findings, you can note down all those particular findings, and accordingly you can clarify about the uncertainty, whether what you have done at the inspection level, whether what you have done at the quantitative or the qualitative level, whether what you have done at the regression level or the Delphi method, each and every technique, whether it was been feasible and able to provide you a conducive and a proper concrete information or not. So in this way, inspection visits can also be successful or it can be helpful. Often firms are of a variety of, so often firms, what do? They use a variety of techniques for making the country risk assessment. For example, they can use a checklist approach to develop an overall country risk assessment, and some of the techniques can be used to assign the factors of which can be considered accordingly. So what you can see, every country can use, every nation can use different types of approaches, and a particular organization who is into existence for rating a particular country, they can adopt different techniques that are into existence. So any of the technique which is made available, either of the Delphi method, either of a checklist method, either of a quantitative method, or either of an inspection method, any method can be applied and any method can be used to overall assess the country risk factors accordingly. Now, developing a country risk rating. So whenever you're preparing a checklist approach, what will be required to undergo a certain step? So a checklist approach will require the following steps that one needs to follow. First thing, assigning the values and weights to a political risk factor. So major concern, what we have seen, the major concern is with respect to the political risk and the financial risk. So among the pastoral analysis, that is political, economic, social, technological, analytical, and legal environment, the political and financial risk factors plays an important role. So we have to assign a proper weight and a proper value to the political risk. So all the factors of production with respect to the stability of government, availability of government, the factors that have been produced by the factors of production, and the support that has been provided by the government. So proper assignment of values and weights needed to be given. Multiply the factor values with respect to the weights and sum to give up the political risk rating. So you have to multiply those particular values that you have assigned with the respective weight that you have obtained. So whatever the weight that you have created, whatever the weight that you have given for a certain product or a certain proposition, you have to multiply those particular weights with what you have achieved or what would you have data collected. Now, for example, if you are going for a checklist method, so based on your checklist method, if you have obtained a certain data of 75 people or 75 corporates or 75 countries, then accordingly you have to rate that particular concern. You have to multiply the factors of production that you have obtained, and with respect to the political risk rating, you have to multiply with the individual sum factor value that you have obtained, and accordingly the rating can be done and the summation value can be found out. And lastly, derive the financial rating similarity. So overall combination or a financial composition of all the financial risk factors also needs to be taken into consideration, and the financial risk rating similarity needs to be obtained and needs to be identified accordingly. The checklist approach will also require the following steps that one need to assign. So after assigning the weights to the political and financial ratings according to the perceived importance, we have to multiply the individual respective weights to the respective overall country risk rating. So based on your individual rating, now in the earlier situation, what you have done, in the earlier situation, you have calculated the weights for an individual perspective, but after a point of time, you have to multiply those particular values with the respective weights and sum up the overall rating of that particular country. So summation of all these particular value needs to be ascertained, needed to be identified, and the overall rating of a country needs to be done accordingly. Developing a country risk rating. So developing a country risk rating involves several factors, which involves the procedure involving the rating and weighing of an individual risk factor, the number, the type, the rating, and the weighting of all factors, which will vary from country to country, company to company, and corporate to corporate. So at every different country level, the SSS will be different, the procedures will be different, the quantifying country risk factors will be different, and all the factors that are associated with rating of a particular country, it differs at every level. So within from country to country, that is at India level, the factors will be different. At US level, the factors may be different. So at this point of time, what we need to understand, we need to take into consideration that it changes from country to country. So developing a country risk rating factor, it is always in a different position wherein all the factors of production can change at every point of time, depending on the availability of factors of production and availability of resources. So while screening a particular project, what one needs to do while screening and monitoring a particular project, for example, of taking a decision whether to invest in a particular project or not to invest in a particular project, the country risk factor helps you to identify whether it is a positive risk association or whether it is a negative risk association, whether the risk factor is been in a certain position that whatever your investment that you are doing, whether this particular investment will generate returns for you or whether it will create losses for you. So identifying the risk factor with respect to the income level also needed to be identified at an effective frequency intervals. One approach to comparing the political and financial rating among the country is called as an firm or the foreign investment risk matrix. So here at this point of time, when there is a combination of financial and political and financial risk factor, what happens? A particular matrix can be developed, and this particular matrix is called as an foreign investment risk matrix. Now, the foreign investment risk matrix measures the financial or the economic risk on one axis and the political risk on the other axis. So each country at this point of time can be positioned on the matrix based on its financial and political rating. So based on the availability of the financial position and the political position, the rating of a particular country can be ascertained and identified, and you can rate a particular country. Now, here you have a certain example or a demonstration of foreign investment risk matrix, wherein you can see the X and Y axis and a certain zone that is made available. So the certain position with respect to the acceptable and non-acceptable, stable and not stable position is available on with respect to the financial risk and with respect to the political risk. So if you have a political stable position and an acceptable financial position or acceptable financial risk, then your zone comes into green zone and it is called as an acceptable zone. Now, if you have a moderate unacceptable financial risk and a moderate unstable political risk, then your zone comes into a gray picture, that is, it is of a unclear zone. But if you have a certain situation wherein the political stability is unstable and the financial risk is also unacceptable, then at this point of time, the pink zone is into picture, and that particular zone is of an unacceptable zone. So the foreign investment risk management gives you a certain perspective or an understanding about what is the factors of production that is made available, what is the environment of a political nature, what are the various financial risk associations with the respective country, and accordingly how you need to conduct your business activities accordingly with respect to the financial and political considerations. The further actual country risk assessment across the countries. So actual country risk assessment across the different countries is of a different perspective. So from lower to higher, the ratings of a country can differ from country to country, from place to place, from origin or region to region. So in terms of emerging markets or emerging countries, it may be different. In terms of developed countries, it may be different, and it may be in terms of developing countries, the risk factor may be different. So country risk changes over in terms of time to time, period to period, and factor to factor. So over a period of time, in responses to the changes in the factors of production, in response to the changes in risk factors of political or economical factors, or in social factors, or in financial factors, your risk factor may change from time to time. Your country risk factors may change from for a period of 1 year, 1 month, 2 months, 5 months, 6 months, and accordingly. So what happens at every frequent interval, your country risk assessment changes and your risk association with respect to products and services keeps on changing again and again. Incorporating country risk assessment in terms of capital budgeting. Now, whenever we are dealing with the risk assessment with respect to financial position or the financial perspective, the major component of consideration is needed to be done with respect to the capital budgeting. That is the availability of capital and the capital that is going to provide you a certain rate of return. So the rate of return can be available only when there is a proper discount rate that is into existence, and you can properly and clearly estimate the cash flows that can be generated from a particular project. So if a particular company wants to invest in a particular country in terms of FDI or FII, that is in terms of foreign direct investment or foreign institutional investment, what they will do, they will analyze, they will assess the risk of a particular country on the basis of capital budgeting. Now, capital budgeting will give you a certain understanding with respect to the identification of cash flow. So if a particular sum of money of, for example, 10 lakhs or 1 crore is invested in a particular project, then what will be the probable cash flows based on which your PPP, that is payback period, can be identified. Next thing, the valuation of currency. The valuation of currency in terms of your increase or decrease in the share price, or in increase or decrease in the value of a rupee, whether the value of your rupee or whether the value of your currency, whatever it may be, it may be either dollar, euro, yen, or whatever concern, whether it is increasing or whether it is decreasing. What is the position of an terms of an economy, whether there is a state of inflation or whether there is a state of deflation. What is the terms of economics in terms of your per capita income of an individual? What is the factors of production with respect to the demand and supply of products and services? So all these factors of pestle analysis needed to be taken into consideration, and with respect to the capital budgeting, with respect to the return, with respect to the output consideration, one needs to identify what type of risk it has been getting associated. Another perspective with respect to the adjustments of the discounted rate. So adjustment of discount rate is always giving you a certain perception with respect to the high risk factor and low risk factor. So here you can identify whether the discounting rate is providing you a certain feasible condition environment, whether now, for example, your discounting rate may be at 10%, 12%, 15%, 8%, 5%, whatever it may be. So based on the availability of factors of production, based on the availability of your conducive environment with respect to climatic factor, natural conditions, and so on, your production, your distribution, your supply chain activity, your demand and supply, your consumption of goods and services is changing at every point of time. So based on all these particular factors, what happen? Your factors of production changes, your availability of goods and services changes, and your rate of return changes. Now, whenever your rate of return changes, the amount that is being invested in a particular project, their rate of return is also changing at a several point of time. So the discounting rate of a particular rupee, the increase or decrease in the value of your currency is also directly impacting the control risk factor in your estimation. Another concern is with respect to the adjustment of the estimated cash flow. So if your business is, whether it may be a type of an MNC or non-MNC, what happen? You have to estimate your cash flows from this particular project, whether the cash flow is quite positive or whether it is a neutral or whether it is negative. So within what duration your estimated cash flow can be obtained, and within what duration how the particular project can be fulfilled or satisfied. Accordingly, you need to identify and what are the estimations of cash flows one needs to ascertain, and in this way the assessment of a country risk can be done accordingly. Now, coming with the next perspective is with respect to the indicators of high country risk. So, what are the various indicators wherein you can say or you can come to a conclusion that the country risk is of a higher level or at a greater stage? First thing, large government deficit with respect to the GNP, that is gross national product. If your gross national product is at a certain position, that it is creating a deficit situation, and it is providing a certain situation wherein the large government deficit is increasing day by day for a certain period of time, then at this point of time you can say that the country is at a higher risk position. High rate of monetary expansion. Now, monetary expansion is that particular currency, that is frequent fluctuations in the currency or the prices of your currency product. So if your currency is highly inflated or highly deflated, then at this point of time you can say that there is no proper control, there is no proper stability in your economic conditions. And if your currency prices, if your money valuation is getting either increased, inflated or deflated at a very frequent rate, then at this point of time you can say or you can come to a conclusion that that is a high country risk association in the concern. Next thing, substantial government spending on yields low rate of return. So yielding low rate of return, that is the per capita income, the individual level of income. If the human development index is not at a very stable stage, it is not a conducive, it is not acceptable as per the standard norms, rules and regulations, and the government is excessively spending on this particular concern, then at this point of time you can understand the spending of government has increased and the per capita income of the particular individual is very low. So if the low rate of return has been obtained, if the amount of availability of funds with the local people or the common man is quite low, then the government spending increases, and at this point of time the government may get at a certain position with increase its own debt, and at this point of time the risk can be associated, risk association can of a particular country can be of a very higher level. Next thing is with respect to the high taxes. Now, a particular tax that has been charged by our respective central or the state government is maybe in a form of a direct tax or indirect tax. Now, various taxes that have been charged by a government on factors of production, on your factors of production of goods and services, or on supply, distribution, and consumption of goods and services, if it is increasing at a very higher rate and the government is charging you a high taxes, then this particular scenario you can identify and you can come to a conclusion that the association of risk of a particular country is of at a higher level. Next thing, vast state-owned firms. So if the particular state-owned enterprises are of a very vast nature, wherein the dependency of the government is increasing at a very higher stage, then also you can identify and say that the state enterprises are not in the control of the government and the risk factor or risk association is increasing day by day. Attitude of the government towards the role in order to maintain the living standard. So if the government is at a certain position in a certain feasibility that it is not in a position to maintain the standard of living of a people, whether the people are of a high rich or high low, and if there is a certain dearth or a certain situation of a huge gap has been created between the rich and the poor, then at this point of time the role of government is quite in a negligent stage, and you can claim or as you can quote a certain concern wherein the risk association with a particular country is of a higher nature. Next thing, persuasive corruption. So if you find the businesses find that the increase in the level of corruption in a particular country is at a very higher stage, then at this point of time also you can come to a conclusion that the risk association with a country is also quite positive and quite higher. Absence of basic government institutions. So if the environment of government is in the basic institution, in the basic financial position, or in the basic political factors, in the economic consideration, if the social consideration is quite negligible or quite neglected, is quite in a lower stage, then also you can say that it is highly risk association country into existence. Next thing, almost all factors for common of the developing countries. So any factor which is needed to be consideration, wherein it has been mostly observed that the developing countries are into a certain stage wherein they are being considered or criticized as a high country risk association factors. Now, coming with the next perspective is with respect to the reducing exposure to the host government takeovers. So the government can, at this certain point of time, can reduce and often use the following strategies to reduce the takeovers and control the environment in the country. First thing is a use of a short-term horizon. So the government can look for a short-term projects, short-term investments, and recovering of cash at a very quick or a flow position. So the cash flow statements and fund flow statements, the balance of payment account of a respective country or a particular nation, the government can focus on it and it can look for a certain position wherein the cash flow can be generated at a very quick stage and a proper environment is provided wherein the rate of return is at a very shorter position. Rely on unique supplies and technologies. So the government has to look for a certain concern that the whatever the goods and services that has been required, what is the amount of quality of raw material that has been required. If all the conducive factors are made available, if the unique supply of technology, unique supply of goods and services are made available to the manufacturers, then the production activity can be undertaken very fluently, very effectively, and the factors of production are at a stable stage. Next thing, hiring of the local labor. So your hiring or employment opportunity that has been created for the local people, in what way or in what type it is made available. What is the conducive environment with respect to the availability of employment opportunities? What is the rate of employment? What is the rate of unemployment? And what type of local laborers are being hired for your business activities? It also plays a direct role and it creates or understands or it gives you a certain picture with association of your risk factors at every point of time. Next perspective with respect to the government factors is in concern of the borrowing of local funds. So whether the availability of funds is from the local market, domestic market, or international market, or the overseas market, that also needs to be identified. And what is the support of banks that has been provided. So banks, which are also called as the financial institution, which provides a certain environment with respect to the development of the business activities, development and availability of sources of finance also needs to be taken into consideration and gives you a certain picture as to how the government is supporting and providing a certain platform in order to develop their business simultaneously. And lastly, the percentage of insurance. So investment guarantee programs offered by the home country, host country, or an international agency ensures you to some various extent to form a association of a country risk and identify the factors. So what is the risk factor that has been associated with terms of insurance? So what is the factors with respect to the insurance? How the particular country is of a certain position, a feasible state or a stable state of environment, whether it has been provided or not. So all those particular factors of production needs to be taken into consideration, and accordingly, the risk association, risk factors can be identified accordingly. So in this way, a particular short note can be asked for you for the university examination, and you need to quote an example with respect to the certain concern of country risk. So in this way, we have seen what are the various factors that have been associated with respect to the country risk analysis. What are the various different types of country risk? What is the rank of India in terms of country risk? What are the various types of assessment methods that can be done in which way you can assist and find out the assessment of country risk, and what are the various government factors that comes into picture or into consideration with respect to the assessment, evaluation, and improvement of country risk factors at the world level, at the domestic level, and at the local level also. Thank you for your patience listening. With this way, we